First in a series of lectures for the World History course is going to start in Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia is going to be located in this region here, mostly where present-day Iraq is located, between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. And what is unique about the geography of this region is that there really is no isolation. And so what that is going to cause, and what I'm going to touch on later on, is it's going to cause a lot of rift between different cultures, different civilizations, different ethnic groups within the region, as it is extremely diverse. Okay, but geographically speaking, the Mesopotamian plain, or the Fertile Crescent, is going to rely on flooding from the Tigris and Euphrates, okay, the two rivers that flow through Iraq here in Baghdad. And they're going to rely on flooding because, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but much of Southwest Asia is desert. And so they're going to rely on the flooding of the Tigris and Euphrates. And it's going to flood based off of melting snow up in like the Mount Ararat region of Turkey. And so the melting mountain snows will flow into the Tigris and Euphrates, cause flooding, which will bring about destruction, but then following that, leaving the silt deposits once the river subsides, enabling them to actually bring about culture, civilization, irrigation, and agriculture. All right? So that is a major factor for the thriving nature of the Mesopotamian plain. And that'll be in stark contrast to Egypt, which we'll talk about later on, which is going to have somewhat geographic isolation. And the Nile is going to flood somewhat differently. So we'll frequently talk about the comparisons and contrasts between Mesopotamia and Egypt. Okay, but geographically speaking, that is what you're looking at. Two rivers that flood based off of melting mountain snow, causing initial destruction and then eventual life agriculture. Okay? Now, in looking at religion as I enter the frame here, why hello. As I enter the frame here, religion in Mesopotamia was viewed somewhat different than how Westerners often view religion. The gods of Mesopotamia were viewed with very much human-like qualities. They had flaws. They were vengeful. They were envious. They had all these things. And it'll be a good idea for you to once again review the Epic of Gilgamesh to get a little bit more insight as to some of the gods that existed in Mesopotamia and how they interacted with humans and how humans viewed the gods. Okay? And there was also this view of a barrier between humans and gods. Even though there wasn't necessarily this concept of a heaven, there was this idea that gods are here and that humans are down here on earth. And so what many Mesopotamians did, is they would build these structures called ziggurats, which were meant to reach up into the heavens so that human beings could be closer to God, but only certain human beings. Okay, the priests. And so we shift from religion into social structure, from the idea and perspective that priests are going to basically be the ones that are going to run the show socially in Mesopotamia. That if you wanted anything done, you had to go through a priest. The priests were the intermediaries between the humans and the gods, even though the gods were not godlike in a Western sense. Okay? And so the ziggurats, towers built towards the heavens, the priests would then be the intermediaries between the humans and the gods. Okay, so that gives you an idea of social structure. And also with Mesopotamia, what you need to know as well is that it was an extremely diverse area. A lot of different groups of people, namely the Assyrians, the Akkadians, the Amorites, the Hittites, so on and so forth. And these are obviously going across times as well, so it's not all at the same time here. And these individuals, these tribes, these groups, they did not like each other, and they were constantly at war with each other because of their close proximity and lack of natural geographic barriers between them. All right, so that's in stark contrast to Egypt, which is going to have natural geographic barriers and just basically be somewhat homogeneous in that sense. Or, say, Greece, which the mountains are going to keep the different city-states separated and, for the most part, keep them from warring against each other for much of their history. Okay? And so with Mesopotamia, there are no geographic boundaries between these different groups, different civilizations, different ethnicities. And so they're going to battle with each other. All right, and the most significant of which is going to be the Akkadians, which is going to, the Akkadians, and the reason why it's significant is the Akkadians, led by Sargon the Great, is going to form the first empire of the world, kind of like Darth Sidious here, right? And so the Akkadians under Sargon the Great are going to form the world's first empire. Okay, he's going to unify all of the Mesopotamian region under his rule, under his control. But of course, once you're at the top, eventually you want to be brought down. And what eventually is going to bring about a decline of Mesopotamian civilization and society is the replacing of Mesopotamians with Persians from the east, from where basically present-day Iran is located. They took control of much of the Mesopotamian plain. Okay, so again, quick review.